Welcome back. Our second guest tonight is the executive director of a wonderful organization, the American Heart Association of Central Indiana. Her name is Amanda Mills, and she joins us now. Amanda, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
The Heart Association is probably well known to a lot of folks, but for those that don't know your work very well, what is it that you guys are doing here in Central Indiana?
Sure. Well, the American Heart Association is the nation's leading organization dedicated to heart disease and stroke. So we have been around for nearly 100 years,
Wow.
which is an exciting time for us as we come up on our centennial. So we've been able to really make an impact over those 100 years in reducing deaths related to cardiovascular disease and stroke, which is really important because they are our nation's leading cause of death.
And it all ties into mental health too. We've talked about this a thousand times on our show, the connection between physical health and mental and emotional and spiritual. It all goes into making us who we are. I'm sure that you see that on your side of things as well.
We see it, and research shows it as well.
Yeah.
So, we, again, being an organization that's dedicated to our number one cause of death and those risk factors, we've really become a health organization. And so we really look at whole body health, and that includes mental well-being.
How has that caused you to pivot? Because that 100 years ago, I don't think a lot of us realized a lot of these connections and how whole body health matters and things are connected the way that we now understand them to be. So throughout your years, and you've obviously not been with the Heart Association for 100 years, but you've been there 10 years, how have you seen what you do pivot to have more of that mindset, that approach?
We've really seen an evolution over the years, and science has helped. We constantly evolve and we learn new things and we see those connections. And we've taken an approach, I've seen over the last 10 years of really focusing on prevention. So we've done a really good job of treating heart disease. We've advanced science and medical care and treatment so that people are living longer lives. But we were noticing that people were still getting heart disease in the first place at higher and higher rates. So how do we prevent this? And so I've been really proud of the organization to really stay on top of those emerging trends, to understand that connection exists, to do more research, to really figure out how can we continue to address it. And so I think our organization has always been poised on that forefront of that kind of cutting edge and trying to understand what's coming next and how we can make those connections.
When you're working with someone that, something that impacts so many people, the number one killer, as you mentioned, the impact on others, spouses, kids, parents, cousins, friends, it touches everybody. How do you work with those populations? How do you go through this? How do you walk through that with them?
I think one of the things that's most special to us as employees working with the Heart Association is we really see a community that comes together to support each other. So obviously, day in and day out, we're hearing new stories about personal loss or those who are survivors, and really being able to connect and see that through our organization means a lot to us, but more so to those who have been impacted by heart disease and stroke. I'm sure you have been, I have been personally,
right.
And it inspires us every day. And so again, I think just one of the greatest things about our organization is it's that place where people can come and share their stories.
So you've been with the organization about 10 years, now as executive director for about a year or so. Tell me about that shift. What has that been like for you? What's the last year? It's an interesting season of the world to go through a big job change. And to take over the helm of an organization in the middle of a pandemic. What's this been like for you?
It's been a crazy ride, I would say, and it's been lots of changes. So I actually even come from a different market. So I just moved here recently, so also moving during the pandemic. But I just feel very lucky that my experience with the Heart Association over the years in several different roles has really allowed me to learn quite a bit and be able to apply that no matter where I'm at. You see, whether you're in Indianapolis or whether you're in a small town in the middle of nowhere, everybody has the same issues.
Right. It's
certainly
all people.
It's all people, and that's what matters.
Yeah. We were joking before we started that you only wear red, but it is the American Heart Association color. But this is also Go Red Month.
It is.
Tell me about that. Again, a lot of folks know it. You guys have done a wonderful job with that campaign over the years. But for those that don't know what Go Red Month is all about, Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, of course, it's our time to shine, which we like. So the spotlight on Heart Month all month long. We actually also just celebrated Wear Red Day. So we always pick that first Friday in February to really draw attention to women's heart health. Long time there was the stigma or the misconception that heart disease was a man's disease, an older man's disease. But we see that, women's leading cause of death is heart disease, and it impacts 1 out of every 3 women.
Wow.
So a huge, huge population that we all need to be paying attention to, and especially when you think about signs and symptoms. So women hadn't been studied historically. So we'd been excluded from research, and so we present differently. And so a lot of times our symptoms were dismissed as something else. So really, there's a critical need to continue to provide that education and awareness around women's heart health.
But I think it's fair to say this is stuff that knows no bounds, no line, right? Gender, race, age, background, geography, none of that really matters. In the end, this impacts everyone.
It impacts everyone.
Yeah.
And, really a part of our mission is really to address those disparities too, because while it doesn't discriminate, it affects some people disproportionately than others. So really our organization is dedicated to ensuring that everyone has that access to healthcare and the best opportunity to live a long, healthy life.
All right. So if we run into you in September, will you be wearing red?
Probably.
Yeah. It's not just around this time of the year.
No, I've got a lot of it in my closet, so it's throughout the year.
Fair enough. Amanda, thank you so much for all that you're doing in Central Indiana, and thanks for being here with us tonight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.